Hey, what's up? I'm Michael, and this is going to start a new series I'm doing on Open Broadcaster software, explaining how to use it and it not be frustrating, how to actually make it work. The first thing you want to do is set up a profile, and you do that by either clicking Settings here or by clicking Settings here. And if you want to change your profile, you can just come in here and change whichever one it is. You'll only have one when you first start. I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible, so I'm just going to tell you the settings that I use and why I use them as fast as I can. I'm trying to keep this under 10 minutes. If you want to change the name, you type in your name, hit add. If you want to rename it, you just hit rename, or you can remove the whole thing. And if you want to change the language of OBS, you can do so by clicking in here. And in encoding, I use the X264 because I like using the H.264 or that codec to work with when I do my videos. I do not use a constant bit rate because I find that with the higher bit rates that I use, the videos are a much better they're a good quality, while at the same time they have a much smaller file size. That's the only way I can say it. If I have this bit rate really low, then the file size is really small, but the quality's not there. If I set this up higher, then the quality is actually there, but then if it doesn't need that many bits per second, the variable bit rate kicks in and it's going to keep it down. So the best way for me to explain that is for desktop recordings, I use about 5 megabytes or 5,500. For games, I use 10,500 for about 10 megabytes per second, and that gives me a good quality to work with. And if the game does not require that much when I'm recording, it records at like 3 megabytes to 4 megabytes per second, sometimes maybe 8 megabytes per second for a game, and my quality is still there, but my file size is smaller. So for audio encoding, I use AAC. It's better than MP3. 44 is CD quality, and 48 is DVD quality. If you're using an external program ever to do any type of editing, make sure that you use the same format. It can actually throw your audio out of sync to change the formats. So make sure you use the same kilohertz format. The bit rate, I use 128 for the same reason. I use 128 and everything else, so I just use it here. It's good enough for me. The broadcast settings, I use file output only because I'm not streaming. This is just for recording. I've got, for a desktop recording, I use OBS Desktop, $T. The $T means full time. It's a template, just a timestamp of whatever it is right now. So, or when it starts. For a game, I use OBS Game in that, so I can differentiate between the different things that I've recorded. Don't worry about this down here if you're not streaming, but basically this is a replay that it records for you as well. Your video, now this is where I'm going to come back to later with another video, so I'll get into more customizing this. Right now I've got it set up so that it is for desktop. It is set to monitor, which is just basically it's going to use whatever your monitor resolution is. So you just hit apply on that and it'll make sure it's the right size. If you want it to scale this, you need to come in here and make this the scale, though. You do not want to scale something else out here, like in the program here. You don't want to scale it there, you want to scale it in here. If you're going to be scaling it. So, and I'll explain all of that in a little bit anyway in another video. Frames per second, I'll come back to this later as well, so remember that, but I have this set at 30 frames per second. Audio, I cannot stress enough how much you want to do this. Go in and set your audio devices to whatever is outputting whatever you're capturing, your game or whatever, and to whatever input you're using. So do not leave them on default, because you will regret it at some point in time. It will pop up and it'll say, oh, you know what, I didn't record that because you had the wrong thing selected to record with. So go on, and it won't say that, but that is what it's going to feel like it's saying. I'm not even going to bother with this. Look up mic sync offset if you need to know what that does. Really, it's just as if your commentary is not in sync. These are my hotkeys. I highly suggest using the same hotkey to start and stop recording and start and stop streaming. The rest of it, you can do however you want. To be able to use Control plus another key, you have to come down here to Advanced, and you have to click here under the General part where it says Allow Other Modifiers on Hotkeys. Okay, so up here, I use multi-threaded optimizations. I can also not stress enough how much you want to leave this on normal. Do not set it on high. Do not set it on above high or above normal or idle. Leave it on normal. I have no idea why this is this way, or what this is, the scene buffering time, but it's default 700. I was told to set it at 400, and I got a few of the frame rates in my game back when I'm using OBS. So, I'm not even going to go into why you want to set the processor class like that, but basically, I guess I will. Just if it's at high, OBS is going to take all the priority over everything else, and your game will suffer from it. So that's why you wanted it normal. For the video stuff here, I've got it set at very fast. If your computer is really, really fast, then you can set it at lower. You need to test it. If you want to test it, you can use Handbrake and encode something with Handbrake and watch the frames per second on there based on what you're using here, and I'll explain how to do that later as well. But for now, just set it at very fast or higher than that if your computer is slower. You want to set your encoding profile to high because it's better than 2 or better than main. Keyframe at 0, it cut, if I was recording, it cut my game's frame rate in half. I have no idea why, but it did. Somebody suggested setting it at 2, so I did, and it made my frame rate jump back up to what it was. I use a constant frame rate, which is what I said I would go back to, and that is so that I will have the same frame rate throughout the entire recording. And if I have to edit, then my frame rate is there, and I don't have to have my programs compensate for that, which will give you a really bad audio video sync error if you mess with that very much and you have to do external editing. So that's why I use that. I also allow the 61 to 120 if I need to, so I didn't touch anything else down here. Quick sync I can't use, so I'm not going to touch on it. Microsoft noise gate, the microphone noise gate. If I'm not talking, you see it's down here. When I am talking, you see it's up here. What you want to do is have this set to where, if you have an air conditioner going, set it again. But set it to where whatever, when you're not talking, is below this. When you are talking, it's above this. And click Enable Noise Gate, click Apply, and there you go. So you now have yourself a profile. And with those same settings, you can now go in to General. You can make a new profile. And you can go in and you can change just this pretty much, and now I've got another profile that I can use here if I want to, and the video part is where you're going to want to do that mainly at. So you don't want to mess with most of the other stuff again, and that's pretty much it. I will have another video up in just probably today as well, but there should be another video on aspect ratios and how to customize them, and I'll see you later.